The sound that shattered Alexei Kozlov's world wasn't gunfire or threats. It was silence. His 6-year-old twin daughters, Vera and Zoya, sat in their converted nursery, wearing diapers and clutching baby bottles, their brilliant blue eyes vacant as they rocked back and forth. 8 months ago they had been normal children. Now they refused to walk, speak, or even acknowledge they were 6 years old. Mr. Kozlov, Dr. Richardson adjusted his glasses nervously. The regression syndrome is unprecedented. We've tried every treatment. $5 million. Alexei's voice was ice. 5 million, and you're telling me my daughters are lost forever? Through the doorway he watched Esperanza Morales kneel beside his girls. The Mexican-American woman he'd hired out of desperation spoke softly in Spanish, then Russian, then English. For the first time in months, Vera's head tilted slightly. Hope had been fired from her teaching job for challenging the system. She needed this position desperately, but as she observed the twins, her trained eye caught something every expensive specialist had missed. These girls weren't broken. They were brilliant, and they were playing the most sophisticated game she'd ever seen. 3 days earlier, Hope Morales had been counting her last $20 bills when her phone rang. "Ms. Morales, this is Marcus Webb, private placement agency. I have an unusual position that requires your specific expertise." Hope's stomach clenched. After being blacklisted from the Los Angeles school district for reporting administrative corruption, unusual was all she could get. What kind of position? Live-in specialist for twin 6-year-olds experiencing severe developmental regression. The family is prominent. Compensation is $50,000 monthly. Hope nearly dropped the phone. $50,000. Her rent was 3 months behind. What's the catch? The previous 7 specialists quit. The children are challenging. Now Hope stood before a Pacific Palisades mansion that could house 50 families. The man who answered the door made her breath catch. Alexei Kozlov was tall, broad-shouldered, with platinum blonde hair and ice-blue eyes that seemed to see straight through her. Her intricate dot-work tattoo curved along the left side of his neck, and despite his expensive white shirt, with 4 buttons undone and platinum Rolex, he looked exhausted. "You're the new specialist." His Russian accent was slight but unmistakable. "I'm Hope Morales, and you're the father who spent $5 million trying to fix children who might not be broken." His eyes sharpened. "Excuse me? Where are they?" Without waiting for permission, Hope walked past him into the mansion. Marble floors gleamed under crystal chandeliers, but the house felt cold, sterile. She followed the sound of soft crying to a room that made her heart sink. The nursery was a shrine to regression. 2 cribs dominated the space, surrounded by baby toys, high chairs, and changing tables. In the corner, 2 identical girls with blonde curls sat on the floor, wearing diapers and onesies, clutching bottles. "Vera, Zoya." Alexei's voice was gentle but strained. "This is Hope. She's here to help." Both girls looked up with startlingly intelligent blue eyes, then immediately looked away, resuming their baby-like rocking. Hope knelt on the floor between them. "Hi, girls. I'm Hope. I used to teach kids just like you." No response. Vera sucked her bottle. Zoya whimpered softly. "I know you understand me," Hope continued conversationally. "And I know you're probably wondering if I'm like all the other doctors." The slightest pause in Vera's rocking. "I'm not here to fix you. I'm here to figure out what you're trying to tell everyone." Zoya's whimpering stopped. Hope stood, turning to Alexei. "I need to see their medical files, their room before the regression, and I need to know exactly what happened when their mother died." "The doctors said—" "I don't care what the doctors said. I care what the girls are saying. And right now they're screaming something that everyone's too busy medicating to hear." Alexei's jaw tightened. "My daughters are not manipulative. They're suffering from severe trauma." "Mr. Kozlov," Hope's voice was firm, "in my 10 years of working with children, I've learned that kids are never the problem. Adults who don't listen are the problem." For a moment, the only sound was Vera's soft babbling. Then Alexei nodded curtly. "Rosa will show you to your room. Dinner is at 7. The girls eat at 5. Baby food only." "Actually," Hope said, still watching the twins, "I'd like to eat with them at 7, regular food." They won't. There's a difference." That evening, Hope sat at the massive dining room table with Alexei and the twins. Rosa, the elderly housekeeper, had reluctantly prepared regular plates for the girls alongside their usual pureed meals. Vera and Zoya sat in high chairs, playing with their baby spoons, making messes with their bottles. But Hope noticed how Vera's eyes tracked the adult conversation, how Zoya's head turned when Alexei spoke in Russian to Rosa. "Tell me about before," Hope said to Alexei. "What were they like?" Pain flickered across his features. Normal, happy. They loved books, puzzles, swimming. Vera was quieter, more observant. Zoya was the leader, always getting them into trouble. His voice softened. "They adored their mother." "How did she die?" "Cancer. Katya fought for 2 years. The girls. They watched her fade away." Hope watched the twins carefully. At the mention of their mother, both girls had gone completely still. "And after?" "I threw myself into work. I thought if I could build something bigger, stronger, I could protect them from ever hurting again, but they just disappeared inside themselves." "When did the regression start?" 3 months after the funeral. Vera wet the bed one night, then refused to use the toilet. Within a week, they were both acting like babies. The doctors said it was their way of coping, going back to a time when they felt safe. Hope nodded, but her attention was on Zoya, who had quietly picked up a regular fork and was expertly twirling pasta, until she noticed Hope watching. The fork clattered to the floor, and Zoya immediately began crying like an infant. "Interesting," Hope murmured. "What?" "Nothing. Just interesting." After dinner, Hope followed the bedtime routine. Alexei read to the girls from baby books while they lay in their cribs, but Hope noticed how both girls' eyes kept drifting to the advanced chapter books on the shelf. "Good night, little ones." Alexei kissed each forehead. "Papa loves you." As he left, Hope lingered. "Good night, Vera. Good night, Zoya. Sweet dreams." She was almost to the door when she heard it, barely a whisper. "Good night." "Hope." She turned, but both girls appeared to be sleeping. Hope smiled. Game on. Later that night, she found Alexei in his study, surrounded by financial reports and security briefings. He looked up as she entered. "How was bedtime?" "Educational." Hope sat across from his desk. "Mr. Kozlov, I need you to understand something. Your daughters aren't sick. They're not traumatized beyond repair. They're communicating in the only way they know how. By acting like babies? By getting your attention. When was the last time you spent a full day with them? Not medical appointments, not therapy sessions, just being their father." Alexei's face hardened. "I work to provide for them, to protect them." "From what? Love? Connection? The risk of being hurt again? You don't understand." "I understand that 2 brilliant little girls have figured out the only way to make their father stop running from his grief is to become so helpless he has to pay attention." The words hung in the air like a challenge. "Tomorrow," Hope continued, "I want to try something different. No doctors, no treatments, no baby schedule. Just let me spend time with them. As children, not patients." Alexei stared at her for a long moment. "And if you're wrong, if they really are damaged, then you'll fire me like the other 7 specialists. But if I'm right," Hope met his ice-blue gaze, "you might get your daughters back." "1 week," he said finally. "You have 1 week to prove your theory." "I'll need 3 days." As Hope left his study, she didn't see the way Alexei's hands trembled as he reached for his vodka, or how his eyes lingered on the family photo where 2 laughing girls hugged a woman with kind eyes. But upstairs, 2 little girls who were very much awake smiled in the darkness. Phase 1 was complete. Hope woke at sunrise to the sound of crying. She found Vera and Zoya in their cribs, tears streaming down their faces, calling for Mama in heartbroken baby voices. "Good morning, girls," Hope said cheerfully, ignoring the performance. "Beautiful day, isn't it?" She opened the curtains, flooding the room with California sunshine. Both girls immediately stopped crying, watching her with curious eyes. "I thought we might have breakfast on the terrace today. Rosa's making pancakes." Vera sat up in her crib. momentarily forgetting to act helpless, then quickly lay back down and resumed whimpering. Of course, pancakes are for big girls who can walk to the table, Hope continued conversationally. Babies have to stay in their cribs and eat mush. Zoya's whimpering intensified, but Hope caught the flash of indignation in her eyes. I'll go tell Rosa to prepare extra baby food. Such a shame about those chocolate chip pancakes. Hope was halfway to the door when she heard the soft thud of feet hitting the floor. She turned to see both girls standing beside their cribs, looking mortified at being caught. Interesting, Hope smiled. Shall we go get those pancakes? The twins exchanged glances, a complex communication that lasted mere seconds, before Vera began crying and both girls collapsed dramatically to the floor. Okay, baby food it is, Hope shrugged. But I'll be eating pancakes on the terrace if anyone wants to join me. 20 minutes later, Hope sat alone on the sun-drenched terrace, cutting into a stack of golden pancakes dripping with syrup. Through the French doors, she could see two small faces pressed against the glass, watching every bite. These are delicious, Rosa, Hope called loudly. Best pancakes in Los Angeles. A soft whine came from behind the glass. Oh well, Hope sighed theatrically. I guess I'll have to eat them all myself. The French doors burst open. Vera and Zoya toddled out, still maintaining their baby act, but moving with suspicious coordination toward the table. Would you like some pancakes? Hope asked innocently. Both girls nodded eagerly, then caught themselves and began babbling incoherently. I'm sorry, I don't speak baby. If you want pancakes, you'll have to use your big girl words. The twins looked at each other, having a silent conversation. Finally, Zoya stepped forward. Cakes, she whispered, as if the words were rusty from disuse. Pancakes, please, Vera added, slightly louder. Of course. Rosa, could we get 2 more plates? As the girls climbed into regular chairs, forgetting to need help, Hope noticed Alexei watching from the doorway. His face was a mixture of shock and something that might have been hope. The twins devoured their pancakes with the appetite of healthy 6-year-olds, chattering quietly to each other in a mixture of English and Russian. But the moment they noticed their father, they immediately reverted to baby babbling and messy eating. Papa, Zoya called, syrup covering her face. Me eat like baby. Alexei approached slowly, as if afraid to break the spell. You're eating real food. Hope said babies only get mush, Vera explained matter-of-factly, then caught herself. Me mean, goo goo gaga. Hope bit back a smile. The girls seemed to be feeling better this morning. Fresh air and sunshine work wonders. This is the most they've spoken in months. Children respond to expectations, Hope said carefully. Expect baby behavior. Get baby behavior. Expect age-appropriate behavior. Get age-appropriate behavior, Alexei finished, understanding dawning in his eyes. After breakfast, Hope suggested a walk on the beach. The twins immediately perked up, then remembered to act helpless. Babies can't walk on sand, Vera said sadly. That's true, Hope agreed. I guess we'll have to stay inside and play with rattles. Just, Zoya said slowly, we could be big girls just for today. Just for today, Vera agreed quickly. The walk to Santa Monica Beach was a revelation. Away from the medical equipment and baby furniture, the twins transformed. They ran ahead, collected shells, and peppered Hope with questions about everything from seagulls to sandcastles. Look, Hope! Zoya held up a perfect spiral shell. It's like a princess crown. Princesses don't wear shells, Vera corrected. They wear tiaras. How do you know? Have you met a princess? I read about them. Hope's heart clenched. These were normal, bright, curious children, not the broken babies everyone believed them to be. What else do you like to read about? Hope asked. Everything, Vera said eagerly. Mama used to read us stories about brave knights and smart princesses who saved kingdoms. And dragons, Zoya added. Good dragons who protected people. Those sound like wonderful stories. Papa doesn't read them anymore. Vera's voice grew quiet. He only reads baby books now. Maybe he's forgotten how much you've grown. We tried to show him, Zoya said, building a sandcastle with impressive architectural skill. But he was always working, So we thought. If we were babies again, he'd have to take care of us, Vera finished. Hope knelt beside them in the sand. And did it work? Both girls considered this seriously. Sort of, Zoya admitted. He pays attention now. But he's always sad. And we don't get to do fun things anymore, Vera added. Just doctor visits and medicine. What if I told you there was a way to get Papa's attention without being babies? The twins exchanged one of their complex looks. How? They asked in unison. By being the amazing big girls you really are. By showing him how much you've grown, how strong you are, how much you can help him. But what if he goes back to working all the time? Vera's voice was small. Then we'll figure out another way. But I think your papa misses his big girls more than he knows. That evening, Hope found Alexei in his study again. This time, he looked up immediately when she entered. They spoke today. Real sentences, complex thoughts. They're remarkable children. The doctors said the regression was irreversible, that their minds had broken. Hope sat down, choosing her words carefully. Alexei, can I ask you something? When Katya was sick, how much time did you spend with the girls? Pain flickered across his face. Every moment I could. We knew time was limited. I took leave from work. Hired nurses for Katya so I could focus on Vera and Zoya. We had picnics in the hospital garden, read stories, played games. They were my priority. And after she died, I couldn't. He ran a hand through his hair. I couldn't look at them without seeing her. So I worked. I built walls, made money, hired security. I thought if I could control everything else, I could keep them safe. But you couldn't keep them close. No, and they found a way to force me to pay attention. They love you, Alexei. Everything they've done has been to get back to you. He was quiet for a long moment. What do I do now? Tomorrow, instead of working, spend the day with them. Not as patients, as your daughters. Show them you see who they really are. And if I can't, if I'm too damaged to be the father they need, Hope met his gaze steadily. Then you learn. Because those girls upstairs aren't the only ones who've been pretending to be something they're not. As she left his study, Hope heard him make a phone call. Cancel all my meetings tomorrow. Family emergency. Upstairs, two little girls smiled in their beds, having heard every word through the baby monitor they'd cleverly repositioned. Phase 2 was complete. Hope woke to silence. And in a house with 6-year-old twins, silence was suspicious. She found Vera and Zoya's room empty, their cribs abandoned. Following the sound of muffled giggles, she discovered them in the kitchen with Rosa, standing on step stools and carefully measuring flour. We're making Papa breakfast, Vera announced proudly, flour in her hair. Pancakes with smiley faces, Zoya added, wielding a whisk with impressive technique. And you're doing this because... You said to show Papa we're big girls, Vera explained. Big girls cook. Rosa caught Hope's eye and smiled. They've been up since sunrise planning this surprise, very determined, these two. Hope's heart warmed. What can I do to help? Set the table, Zoya commanded, with the fancy plates. This is a special breakfast. An hour later, Alexei appeared in the dining room to find an elaborate breakfast spread. Perfectly golden pancakes arranged with berry smiley faces, fresh orange juice in crystal glasses, and his daughters, clean, dressed and beaming with pride, standing beside his chair. Surprise, Papa, they chorused. For a moment, Alexei stood frozen. Then his face crumpled with emotion. You made this. For me. We're big girls now, Vera said solemnly. We can take care of you. Just like Mama did, Zoya added. Alexei knelt and pulled both girls into his arms, his voice thick. You beautiful, brilliant girls. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I forgot how amazing you are. It's okay, Papa. Vera patted his cheek. We forgot too, for a little while. But we remembered, Zoya said. Hope helped us remember. Alexei looked over their heads at Hope, his ice-blue eyes bright with unshed tears. Thank you, he mouthed silently. The day that followed was magical. Alexei cancelled all meetings and devoted himself entirely to his daughters. They swam in the pool, built elaborate sandcastles, and had a tea party where Alexei wore a plastic tiara and spoke in a ridiculous British accent that had the girls shrieking with laughter. Hope watched from the sidelines, her heart full. This was the family they were meant to be. "Hope," Zoya called, "come play with us." "Yes," Vera agreed. "You're part of our family now." Hope joined their game of hide-and-seek, and soon found herself being chased around the garden by two giggling girls and their father, who had completely abandoned his usual stern demeanor. When Alexei caught her, his hands lingered on her waist longer than necessary. Their eyes met, and Hope felt electricity shoot through her. "Thank you," he said softly, his accent thicker with emotion. "You gave me back my daughters. You never lost them, you just forgot how to see them." "I forgot how to see a lot of things." The moment stretched between them, charged with possibility, until Vera tugged on Hope's shirt. "Hope, will you read us a story? A real story, not a baby book?" That evening, Hope sat between the twins on Alexei's massive bed, reading from a collection of Russian fairy tales. Alexei lounged in the chair beside them, watching with soft eyes as his daughters hung on every word. "And the brave princess saved the kingdom with her wisdom and kindness," Hope concluded. "Just like you saved us," Zoya said sleepily. "I didn't save you, sweetheart, you saved yourselves." "But you helped," Vera insisted. "You saw us when everyone else saw broken babies." "Because you're not broken. You never were." As Hope tucked them into their regular beds, the cribs had been quietly removed that afternoon, Vera whispered, "Hope, are you going to stay with us forever?" Hope glanced at Alexei, who was listening intently. "I don't know, sweetheart. We want you to," Zoya said firmly. "Papa's happy when you're here. We can tell." "Girls," Alexei said gently, "Hope has her own life." "But she fits with us," Vera interrupted, "like puzzle pieces." "Yeah," Zoya agreed. "We're a family now." After the girls fell asleep, Hope and Alexei walked onto the terrace overlooking the ocean. The night was warm, stars reflecting on the water. "They're right, you know," Alexei said quietly. "You do fit with us." "Alexei, I know this is complicated. I know my world is dangerous, that I have no right to ask—" "You're not asking," Hope interrupted. "You're assuming I want to leave." He turned to face her fully. "Do you?" Hope looked back through the French doors at the house that had become home, at the girls who had stolen her heart, at the man who made her feel things she'd never felt before. "No," she whispered. "I don't want to leave." Alexei stepped closer, his hand cupping her cheek. "Hope." "Yes." "I'm falling in love with you, with your strength, your compassion, the way you see beauty where others see problems. You brought light back into our lives." "Alexei, I know it's too soon. I know you came here for a job, not this. But I can't pretend anymore. You're not just the nanny, you're everything," Hope finished, her heart racing. "You're everything too." When he kissed her, it was gentle, reverent, full of promise. Hope melted into him, feeling like she'd finally found where she belonged. They broke apart, both breathing hard. "The girls will be so smug," Hope laughed softly. "They've been trying to matchmake since day one. Smart girls, they know what's good for their old man." "You're not old, you're just unseasoned," Alexei laughed, the sound rich and warm. "Seasoned, I like that." They stood together in comfortable silence, watching the waves crash against the shore. "Hope," Alexei said eventually, "there are things about my business, my past. I know who you are, Alexei. I'm not naive. And you're not afraid?" Hope thought of the gentle way he read to his daughters, the tears in his eyes when they surprised him with breakfast, the way he'd thrown himself into being present for them. "I'm not afraid of you. I'm afraid of losing this, losing them, losing us." "You won't," he said fiercely. "I won't let anything happen to you or the girls. You're under my protection now. Forever. Forever, if you'll have us." Hope's answer was another kiss, deeper this time, full of love and promise and hope for their future. Inside the house, two little girls who were supposed to be sleeping high-fived silently. "Told you they liked each other," Zoya whispered. "Now we just need to make sure Hope never leaves," Vera replied. Don't worry, I have a plan. Phase 3 was complete. Hope woke to the sound of hushed, urgent voices. Through the baby monitor, which the twins had forgotten to remove, she heard Alexei speaking rapid Russian to someone on the phone. The tone made her blood run cold. She slipped from her room and found Alexei in his study, pacing like a caged wolf. His face was granite, but she caught the fear in his eyes. What's wrong? He spun toward her. You shouldn't be here. The girls are at their playdate with the Morrison twins, remember? Rosa took them an hour ago. They're safe. Hope stepped closer. Talk to me. Alexei's jaw worked. Viktor Petrov, he's a competitor. He's been watching the house, gathering information. About your business? About my weaknesses. His voice was bitter. He knows about you, about how much you mean to us. Hope's stomach dropped. He's threatening me. He's threatening to take everything I care about. You, the girls. Alexei's hands clenched into fists. I should have seen this coming. Should have been more careful. What does he want? Territory, power, my complete withdrawal from the Los Angeles operations. Then give it to him. Alexei stared at her. What? Give him what he wants. Your business isn't worth our lives. Hope, you don't understand. If I show weakness now, if I back down, it won't end with Victor. Every enemy I've ever made will come for us, for you and the girls. Hope's mind raced. Then we handle it. Together. No. Alexei's voice was final. I'm sending you and the girls away. Tonight. I have a safe house in... Absolutely not. Hope, no, Alexei, I'm not running and I'm not letting you face this alone. We're a family. Families stick together. Before he could argue, his phone rang. Alexei answered in clipped Russian, his face growing darker with each word. He's coming here now. Alexei was already moving, pulling weapons from a hidden safe. Hope, get upstairs. Lock yourself in the panic room. I'm not hiding while... Please. He gripped her shoulders. I can't focus on ending this if I'm worried about protecting you. I need to know you're safe. Hope saw the desperation in his eyes and nodded. End it quickly. I will, I promise. She was halfway up the stairs when she heard cars pulling into the driveway. Through the window, she saw 3 black SUVs disgorging men in expensive suits. But instead of going to the panic room, Hope had a different idea. She grabbed her phone and called Rosa. Are the girls still at the Morrisons? Yes, Miss Hope. Safe and sound. Playing dress-up with little Emma. Keep them there, no matter what. Don't bring them home until I call you. Miss Hope, what's... Promise me, Rosa. I promise. Hope hung up and called 911. 911, what's your emergency? I need to report suspicious activity at 1247 Pacific Coast Highway. Multiple armed men entering the property. I think it might be a home invasion. Ma'am, are you in danger? Not yet, but please send units immediately. Hope hung up and positioned herself where she could see the front entrance. Through the intercom system, she heard voices. Alexei's controlled and cold. Another man's heavily accented and threatening. You've grown soft, Kozlov. Playing house with your little teacher and broken daughters. My family is off limits, Victor. Family? Victor laughed. You mean the woman who's been lying to you? Did you know your precious Hope has been recording conversations? Gathering evidence? Hope's blood froze. That was a lie, but would Alexei believe it? You're lying. Am I? Check her room. Check her phone. She's been building a case against you, probably for the FBI. Hope heard footsteps on the stairs, and her heart hammered. She had to do something. She activated the house's intercom system and spoke clearly into the microphone. Viktor Petrov, this is Hope Morales. I'm recording this conversation and I've already called the police. You have approximately 3 minutes before LAPD arrives. Silence. Then Victor's voice, furious. The little teacher has teeth. More than teeth, Hope continued, amazed at how steady her voice sounded. I have connections. The Morrison family? Emma's father is Deputy Chief Morrison. He's personally responding to my call about armed intruders threatening children. It was a bluff. She barely knew the Morrisons, but it worked. You're lying. Am I? Listen. In the distance, sirens wailed. 2 minutes, Victor. I suggest you leave. Unless you want to explain to LAPD why you're threatening a family with children. More silence. Then rapid Russian between Victor and his men. This isn't over, Kozlov. Yes, it is. Alexei's voice was deadly calm. You threatened my family. That was your mistake. Hope heard car doors slamming, engines starting. She watched from the window as the SUVs sped away just as police cars rounded the corner. She ran downstairs to find Alexei holstering his weapon, his face a mixture of admiration and exasperation. That was incredibly stupid, he said. That was incredibly effective, she countered. You could have been killed. So could you. And I wasn't about to let that happen. Alexei pulled her into his arms, holding her so tightly she could barely breathe. You magnificent, terrifying woman. Do you have any idea what you just did? Saved our family. Proved that Victor was right about one thing. You are dangerous, just not to me. The police took statements, accepted Alexei's explanation about a business dispute, and left with warnings about home security. As their cars disappeared, Hope finally allowed herself to shake. Is it over? She asked. Victor won't try this again. He knows now that you're not a weakness. You're a strength, and he can't compete with that. What about other enemies? Alexei cupped her face gently. After today, word will spread. Alexei Kozlov's woman is not to be underestimated. You've just made us safer, not more vulnerable. Good, because I'm not going anywhere. Even knowing what my world involves? Especially knowing. Those girls need their father. And you need someone who won't run when things get dangerous. Alexei kissed her deeply. I love you, Hope Morales. Your courage, your loyalty, your fierce protection of our family. Our family. If you'll have us, all of us, forever. Yes, she whispered against his lips. Yes to everything. When Rosa returned with the twins an hour later, they found Hope and Alexei cooking dinner together, laughing and stealing kisses like newlyweds. Did you miss us? Vera asked suspiciously. Terribly, Hope said, hugging them both. Good, Zoya declared, because we have an announcement. Oh? We've decided you're definitely staying forever, Vera said matter-of-factly. And Papa's going to marry you, Zoya added. Girls, Alexei started. We already planned the wedding, Aunt Vera interrupted. Beach ceremony, white dress, flowers everywhere. And we'll be flower girls, Zoya finished. It's all decided. Hope and Alexei exchanged glances over their heads. Well, Hope said solemnly, if it's all decided. It is, both girls said firmly, and looking at her ready-made family, brilliant, brave, and absolutely perfect. Hope couldn't argue with their logic. Phase 4 was complete. 3 months later, Hope woke to the sound of laughter echoing through the mansion. Real, joyful, uninhibited laughter that made her heart soar every single time. She found Alexei and the twins in the kitchen, flour covering every surface as they attempted to make Russian blini for breakfast. Vera stood on a step stool, carefully ladling batter into a pan, while Zoya provided enthusiastic commentary in a mixture of English and Russian. Papa, you're doing it wrong, Zoya giggled. Babushka's recipe says to flip it like this, she demonstrated with exaggerated flair, sending batter flying. Babushka never had to cook with 2 little tornadoes helping, Alexei laughed, catching Zoya around the waist and spinning her. But you're right, little one. Show me again. Hope leaned against the doorframe, watching the man she loved being completely, utterly present with his daughters. Gone was the distant, grief-stricken father who had hidden behind work and worry. This Alexei was engaged, playful, and absolutely devoted to his girls. Hope? Vera spotted her first. Come help. Papa's hopeless at blini. I heard that, Alexei said, mock-offended. I'll have you know I'm an excellent cook. You burned toast yesterday, Zoya pointed out. That was artistic charring. Hope joined the chaos, accepting a flower-covered kiss from Alexei and hugs from the twins. This had become their morning routine, cooking together, planning their day, being a family. What's on the agenda today? Hope asked, stealing a piece of perfectly golden blini. Swimming lessons, Vera announced. Coach Marina says we're almost ready for the deep end. And then the beach, Zoya added. Papa promised to build the biggest sandcastle in California. Did I say biggest? Alexei pretended to consider. I think I said most architecturally sound. Biggest. Both girls chorused. Hope smiled, watching the easy banter. The transformation in all of them had been remarkable. The twins were thriving, confident, happy, and completely secure in their father's love. They attended an excellent private school, had friends, and spoke 3 languages fluently. Most importantly, they were just normal kids. And Alexei, her heart clenched with love every time she looked at him. He'd restructured his entire business, delegating more and working from home whenever possible. He'd never missed a school event, a bedtime story, or a chance to simply be present with his daughters. Earth to Hope, Alexei's amused voice broke through her thoughts. Where did you go? Just thinking about how perfect this is. Perfect? Vera wrinkled her nose. Papa got batter in his hair. And Zoya has flour on her nose, Hope pointed out. And you have syrup on your chin, Zoya giggled. See? Perfect, Hope declared, making them all laugh. After breakfast, they spent the morning at the pool. Hope watched from a lounge chair as Alexei patiently guided the twins through their swimming strokes, his voice encouraging and proud. That's it, Vera. You're doing beautifully. Zoya, remember to breathe. In through your nose, out through your mouth. Papa, watch this. Vera executed a perfect dive off the low board. Magnificent. You're like a little mermaid. Hope's phone buzzed with a text from her former colleague at the school district. Heard about your new position. Lucky family. Miss working with you. Hope smiled, typing back. Found where I belong, couldn't be happier. And it was true. The teaching position she'd lost had led her here, to this family that needed her as much as she needed them. She'd started tutoring other children in the area, building a small but fulfilling practice that allowed her to stay close to home. Hope, Zoya called from the pool. Come swim with us. Yeah, Vera agreed. Family swim time. Hope dove in, and soon they were playing an elaborate game of underwater tea party that had all 4 of them laughing until their sides hurt. That afternoon, as promised, they built the most ambitious sandcastle Santa Monica Beach had ever seen, complete with towers, a moat, and a drawbridge that actually worked. It's a palace for a princess, Vera declared, carefully placing shell decorations. 2 princesses, Zoya corrected, twin princesses who save kingdoms. And their brave knight father, Hope added, glancing at Alexei. Don't forget their wise advisor, Alexei said, pulling Hope close. Every royal family needs someone smart enough to keep them all in line. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in brilliant oranges and pinks, they sat on their beach blanket sharing ice cream and watching the waves. Hope, Vera said suddenly, her voice serious. Are you happy with us? Happier than I've ever been in my life. Good, Zoya nodded approvingly. Because we voted and you're stuck with us forever. Oh, you voted? Hope raised an eyebrow. Unanimous decision, Alexei said solemnly. Though I believe the official term was no takebacks. Well, if it was unanimous, it was, Vera confirmed. We love you, Hope. You're our real mama now. Hope's eyes filled with tears. The girls had started calling her Mama Hope months ago, but hearing it still made her heart overflow. I love you too, my beautiful girls. More than all the stars in the sky. That's what our first mama used to say, Zoya said softly. She would like you, I think. She would love you, Alexei said quietly. Katya always said the most important thing was that we were happy. And we are. We're so happy. That evening, after the twins were tucked into bed with stories and songs and countless kisses, Hope and Alexei sat on their terrace overlooking the ocean. I have something for you, Alexei said, pulling a small velvet box from his pocket. Hope's breath caught. Alexei, I know we've talked about this. I know you said you didn't need a ring to know we're committed, but I need to ask properly. I need to do this right. He dropped to one knee, opening the box to reveal a stunning diamond ring surrounded by smaller stones that caught the moonlight like captured stars. Hope Morales, you saved my daughters. You saved me. You brought love and laughter and light back into our lives. Will you marry me? Will you be my wife, their mother, our forever? Yes, Hope whispered, tears streaming down her face. Yes, yes, yes. As he slipped the ring onto her finger, they heard excited squealing from upstairs. They're supposed to be asleep, Alexei said, but he was smiling. They've probably been planning this moment for months, Hope laughed. Sure enough, two small faces appeared at the upstairs window, pressed against the glass and grinning wildly. "We're getting married," Vera shouted, her voice muffled by the window. "Beach wedding," Zoya added, "just like we planned." Hope and Alexei waved at their daughters, and pulled each other close. "Ready for forever," Alexei murmured against her lips. "I've been ready since the moment I walked into that nursery and saw two brilliant little girls pretending to be babies. Best performance of their lives. Best decision of mine." As they kissed under the stars, with their daughters cheering from the window and the ocean whispering its approval, Hope knew she'd found her fairy tale ending, and it was better than any story she'd ever read. 2 years later, Hope stood on the beach behind their home, watching Alexei chase 8-year-old Vera and Zoya through the surf while baby Mikhail gurgled happily in her arms. The twins had grown into confident, brilliant children who spoke 4 languages and excelled at everything they touched. "Mama, Hope!" Zoya called, running toward her with a perfect sand dollar. "Look what I found for baby Misha." "It's beautiful, sweetheart." Vera appeared at her other side, breathless and glowing. "Papa says when Misha's bigger, we can teach him to swim like we taught the Morrison kids." "You'll be excellent teachers," Hope agreed, adjusting the baby's sun hat. Alexei jogged over, his hair damp with salt water, his smile brighter than the California sun. He'd left his old life completely, now running a successful, legitimate security company that protected families like theirs. "How are my 3 favorite people?" he asked, kissing Hope softly and stroking Mikhail's cheek. 4 favorite people, Vera corrected. "You always forget to count yourself, Papa." "Smart girl," Hope laughed, just like her mama. "Which mama?" Zoya asked innocently. "We have 2 now." Hope's heart swelled. The girls had never forgotten Katya, but they'd made room in their hearts for Hope too. Their first mother lived on in stories and photographs and love, while Hope filled their present with joy and security. "Both mamas," Alexei said firmly. "We're the luckiest family in the world." As they walked back toward the house together, Alexei carrying a sleepy Mikhail, the twins chattering about their plans for tomorrow, Hope's hand secure in her husband's, she marveled at how perfectly everything had turned out. Sometimes the best families weren't born. Sometimes they were built by love, patience, and 2 very clever little girls who knew exactly what they wanted, and got it. The end.